Medicine Sans Frontiers has accused the U.S. military of continuing a horrific attack on an international hospital in Afghanistan for a full half hour after they were contacted by Medicine Sans Frontiers, while victims, including children, screamed for help as they burned alive inside the facility. The U.S. said Saturday the victims of the bombing may be collateral damage in the fight against the Taliban. The bombing took place overnight in the Afghan city of Kunduz and left at least 9 Medicine Sans Frontiers workers dead and another 37 people wounded. The Medicine Sans Frontiers said U.S. and Afghan government forces should have been fully aware they were striking an aid site.
Every year on October 2nd, the downtown streets of the Mexican capital fill with thousands of students, activists, ordinary citizens, and the survivors of the 1968 state-perpetuated student massacre. Now this year, the parents of the 43 disappeared Ayotzinapa students joined the choir for justice.
We parents of the victims and Mexicans generally now understand we cannot allow Ayotzinapa to be forgotten because it would be another 1968 and nothing more.
The commemorative march also coincided with a press conference by the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, which finished a 4-day visit to analyze the state of human rights in Mexico. The commission recognized the impact and importance of the date.
The massacre remains in impunity to this day, without a final number, much less individual identification of the people who were executed or disappeared in that context.
And as if it was an echo of the criticisms expressed 47 years ago on the situation of human rights in Mexico, the primary message of the Commission was to express its deep concern over how the Mexican state administers justice in a period of heightened violence and insecurity.
The lack of access to justice has created a situation of structural impunity that perpetuates and in some cases encourages the repetition of serious human rights violations.
While the Mexican authorities responded to the Commission's report by saying that it, quote, does not reflect the situation in the entire country, one mother of Mexico's more than 22,000 disappeared says the critical findings reaffirm her dissent and help to bring a degree of hope, albeit difficult.
But it is difficult to have hope in Mexico. It is a daily exercise of willpower. You need to say to yourself, I have hope and I won't lose it.
The Commission reiterated the need for Mexican authorities to relaunch a new investigation into the forced disappearance of the 43 Ayotzinapa students, as well as investigate what it says are the alarming numbers of documented extrajudicial murders in the country. Clayton Cantelesur, Mexico City.
Venezuelan and Colombian defense ministers met in Santa Marta, Colombia on Friday and announced a deal to allow for border cooperation exercise between the two neighbors in an ongoing effort to resolve border tensions after Venezuela closed the border in efforts to crack down on smuggling of Venezuelan goods. The deal will see intelligence exchange and closer contact between soldiers along the border.
It's been a fruitful meeting and definitely need to redirect efforts to achieve our main objective, which is for real peace on the border and peace in our towns, peace for our people, and a productive border that is free from transnational organized crime, which has its effects in Venezuela.
The death toll from a landslide in Guatemala on Thursday night has risen to at least 26 people, with hundreds more believed to be missing, officials reported. As many as 600 people in Santa Catarina Pinula, near the capital, are missing, and dozens feared dead after a hillside buried homes in earth and sludge and sparking a desperate hunt for survivors on Friday. As many as 600 people in Santa Catarina Pinula, near the capital, are missing, and dozens feared dead after a hillside buried homes in earth and sludge and sparking a desperate hunt for survivors on Friday. Alejandro Maldonado, head of Guatemalan disaster agency CONRED, estimated the landslide hit 125 homes. The landslide was one of the worst in recent times in the impoverished Central American country.
University students in the United States woke up feeling the sadness of yet another mass shooting. The massacre in Umpqua Community College marks the 45th school shooting thus far in 2015. In American University in Washington, D.C., students empathize with the students in Oregon and expressed a need to be alert for a situation like this.
And it's scary that it happens so often at college campuses, which are places for people to come and should feel safe. And it's just devastating to hear that people have to be on alert at all times for things like this. And
the Roseburg community came together as hundreds gathered outside of the college campus to honor the 9 victims and those injured during a vigil Thursday night. Oregon authorities feel there is a need to find more effective solutions to these types of tragedies.
Oregon has worked continuously to prevent these kind of tragedies, but they continue to happen here and across the nation. And it is going to keep happening until we decide we want them to stop.
The shooting once again brought forth the continued debate of gun control in America. Between 1992 and 2014, a reported 61 mass murders carried out with firearms took place in the U.S. Despite this, the nation is split on whether gun control is a definitive solution.
You know, there are lots of possible reasons for it, and that's one of the most difficult parts about handling situations like this is that it's hard to get out in front of these things. I mean, if we could do that, then, you know, they wouldn't happen.
President Obama, who made his 15th speech about a massacre since being in office, once again called on Congress for more gun control. This shooting now adds Roseburg to the list of communities that will forever be remembered, such as the Emmanuel AME Church, the movie theater in Lafayette, Louisiana, and the naval base in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Bianca Perez, Telesur, Washington, D.C.
Trade ministers from a dozen Pacific nations met in Atlanta for talks on a sweeping trade deal on Friday in a bid to get the final agreement on the most ambitious trade pact in a generation. The TPP will involve 40% of the global economy, will allow multinationals to sue governments, pharmaceutical companies to monopolize world drug prices, and undermine internet freedoms. The talks, however, were extended, though Japan's economy minister Akira Amadi said a deal was close and he was hopeful of reaching one today. The newly elected 300 members of the Greek parliament were sworn in at the ceremony in Athens Saturday. The Orthodox and Muslim representatives took religious oath, while others opted to give a political oath on the Greek constitution. The governmental coalition of Syriza Independent Greek has a majority of 155 representatives in the new 8-party assembly. In the next few weeks, Greece must vote in favor of 40 reforms in order to receive a €2 billion loan as part of a bailout program or face possible default.
Facts that have marked the course of history. Productions designed in the English language and made for the English-speaking world. This is Documentary. Watch it on telesur.net/English. Telesur, wherever the news, you'll be there.